Hello there folks, I'm Dan Brown from Sort of Interesting, and during the last 6 weeks I've gone ridiculously over the top in attempting to remove all forms of entertainment from my life. And yes, I mean everything from music to sport to video games to podcasts. So during that time, I've probably been successful in removing about 90% of the distraction and entertainment. And in the middle of this period, I probably had a point where I went for 5 consecutive days without having any form of distraction whatsoever in my life. Now, there's been, of course, the massive positive with all of the hours of my life this has given me back and freed up. However, this video is probably going to be spent more talking about the negatives. So, firstly, the obvious positive is the productivity element. Having all of this distraction time and going so hardcore and over the top like I have done recently, as opposed to the previous attempts I've done at this kind of thing, it's amazing just how much you can get done in a day. And it's amazing how I can wake up in the morning with all these ideas of things I want to do, places I want to go, videos to shoot, scripts to write and all that sort of stuff, and know, as I'm thinking about it, that it's actually all going to get done. However, the biggest issue that comes with this as a side effect is the lack of distraction and the lack of any sort of entertainment creates some sort of self-perpetuating boredom. And I swear there's been times that at the later points of the day where if I'm trying to do something boring like search through old archive footage and it's just all images on screen that all look roughly the same of boats on canals and so on, my mind will just switch off and start creating its own entertainment, and I'll find myself like completely zoned out, like just stood in front of my desk, and I'll be thinking about stupid stuff like, oh, remember that embarrassing thing I did 5 years ago? And I'll be reliving those moments and what I could have done differently again and again, and then I'll catch myself and snap myself back to real life. But it's like my brain is basically like, I can't bear to see another video of a boat. I can't bear to see another podcast that needs editing. I don't want to hear another sound of my own voice. Please leave me alone. There's a cat meowing to go outside. This isn't a single take video. 1 second. So I think because of the lack of distraction and entertainment, I've had a much higher base level of boredom in my life, and that's led to some of the bigger issues. Now, I thought doing this I would be sleeping much better than I'd slept for years. Instead, I've been going through the period of probably the worst sleep that I've ever had. I've been lying for hours and hours awake in bed, maybe without that comfort of the background noise of an audiobook playing and stuff like that, for example. And I've literally been seeing 4am, 5am roll around on the clock. And some of you may know, I like to sometimes go through phases where I wake up at 5am and go out and get everything done before the world's even awake. So seeing it on the clock and still not being asleep, it's not been great. And that's definitely something that pushes me to go, you know what, I definitely don't want to keep up this extreme sort of lack of entertainment and lack of joy in my life, I suppose. So next up, I think, again, stemming from boredom, my diet has collapsed. Right now, as I speak to you here, there's a packet of sweets, 2 different types of salt and vinegar crisps, a Kit Kat chunky wrapper there, all of that just while I've been here, fiddling around, thinking of what I'm going to say in this video and all the rest of it. And I just find, again, that boredom eating thing. I used to get it sometimes when I'd be living on my boat, and if it was a really wet day in the winter and I was stuck on board with nothing really going on, I might find that I'd accidentally eaten 12 pancakes that were meant to last me for the week and stuff like that. And I swear that's what it is, that I've just been here idly letting my brain tell me to keep eating and eating as I'm doing stuff, just as some form of input and interaction with the world. Next up, in exactly that same fitness and health sort of thing, I'm a big fan of general fitness and working out. You might not think it to look at me, but I swear it's true, and I've done so for years, so this isn't something that I'm new to and just getting bored as the novelty's worn off. And I'd say this last 6 weeks is probably the least active I've ever been in terms of doing all of my push-ups and stuff. I was getting to a point where I was comfortably doing hundreds and hundreds of push-ups a day. Now I've been finding, again, possibly because I haven't got that distraction or music in the background, that just the idea of dropping down now and doing however many push-ups or getting the pull-up bar out and starting those, it just repels me so much. I just cannot be bothered. I can't bring myself to do it. And perhaps it's, again, maybe some sort of weird psychological thing of my life's been so boring anyway and so all about work and productivity that the idea of then doing something that's physically hard and physically difficult on top of that is just too much for my mind to bear, and it's going, nope, I don't want anything to do with that. And thinking about it off the top of my head as I'm recording this, perhaps my difficulty in getting to sleep is tied to the lack of extreme physical exercise that I've been doing, because I'm not going to sleep with that not only mental but physical exhaustion and me muscles aching and feeling like, oh yeah, let's just get to bed. So yeah, that's just something that's popped into my head. I'll look into that. I'll get doing push-ups as soon as this is finished. So am I going to continue this, and would I advise this to anybody else out there? Firstly, I wouldn't advise this to anybody else, or certainly not this extreme level of trying to give up everything, purely based alone on the fact that my sleep pattern is so destroyed at the moment. I'm worried that that's going to be a long-lasting and difficult thing to get back into a normal rhythm, and I certainly wouldn't want that for anybody else, because I know already how tiring and how annoying that can be. When it comes to myself, I think I can definitely speak for myself, and probably speak for a lot of us, in saying I can definitely do with just losing a few hours per week of all the nonsense, distraction and endless mindless scrolling that we do. However, I definitely don't want to go for this sheer level, and something that's sort of formulated in my mind more clearly as I've been speaking to you here is that the gained productivity that I've had during this last few weeks is nowhere near equal to the level of sacrifice and things that I've given up to gain that. It's like I've given up 90% distraction, entertainment and fun to gain maybe 20-25% productivity. And when I think of the sleep, the general fitness and the mindless eating that I've been doing, perhaps I really could do with just sorting my life out a little bit more sensibly and a little bit more incrementally until I find a nice balance where I can get everything I want done every single day without any regrets and without going to bed thinking, oh, that was a waste of time. Although, to be fair, I think that even on a productive day doing these videos. But maybe, just maybe, I can take a sensible decision for once and say, you know what? Being completely out of the loop with world events, with sporting events, with things that you just enjoy reading about, isn't really worth posting another 10 short form videos per week that might get 200 views if you're lucky. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you want to see more of this ridiculousness, there's links in the description or the comments below. Patreon, I write books, and feel free to add me on Facebook, where I'm posting sometimes, like, I don't know, a lot of stuff in a day, we'll say that much. Loads more stuff to come. Thank you very much for your time. Keep it interesting, keep it boat worthy, have a fantastic day, and of course, farewell.